Sun still setting, and you have some of the remnants of daylight and then some unbelievably dark clouds to the south and the southeast of downtown Cincinnati. Here comes a left-hander, Brandon Finnegan, 23 years old, a native of Fort Worth, Texas. His mom and dad have made the trip into Cincinnati to watch his first start of this 2017 season. In this game number 2, the Reds 4-3 losers on opening day. And you know, Christopher Finnegan, we saw him pitch so many splendid games a year ago, but you touched on it when we opened our broadcast roughly about an hour and a half ago. Pitch efficiency is a big deal for this Reds left-hander.
Well, it is, Tom. He was in a very unique position. I mean, he was in a unique position in spring training, especially after Anthony DeSclafani went down with an arm injury, and we knew that Homer Bailey would not be able to start the season with the Reds. He was the only starting pitcher guaranteed of a spot in spring training when that happened. As it turned out, Scott Feldman started the opening day, and he got the starting rotation. But for Finnegan, it's a guy that really has to build on what he did at the end of last year. His 11 starts were outstanding. He threw the ball over the plate. He increased his use of his off-speed pitches, and he kept his pitch counts down a little better then than he did in the first half. But I think for Brandon, it's all about effort level, as we talked about in our open time. Back off a little bit, and you're going to get a lot more success.
Starting pitcher numbers presented by Mazda, and the lineup he will face tonight for these Philadelphia Phillies is brought to you by Menards. Hernandez homered, the first batter on opening day. Kendrick a 3-hit game. Down the order a bit, Galvis also homered. That came with 1 out in the second inning in that 4-3 Philadelphia win. Ford brings you the Cincinnati defense, and it's the same 8 we saw on opening day. Hamilton flanked by Duvall and Schebler, Suarez, Cozart, Peraza, Votto, and Tucker Barnhart hanging the sides. Well, all in all, you'd have to say we're pretty lucky tonight. I mean, what with the weather forecast we were getting, and of course there's a long way to go tonight. We're hoping that Mother Nature stays in a rather decent mood, because there were reports earlier today that the rain may never let up until about 10:30, 11:30 tonight. So here we are, a couple of minutes after 8. We're ready to go. Hernandez, a switch hitter. He homered from the left side of the plate, leading off on opening day. Finnegan delivers ball 1, and this one underway. Phil Cuzzy calls the balls and strikes. Vic Carapazza at first base. Mark Ripperger is at second, and Tom Hallion, the umpire, at third. Hallion is the crew chief. 1-1. Finnegan, a #1 draft choice in 2014 by Kansas City. Came over from the Royals in the Johnny Cueto trade. Cody Reed and John Lamb came along in that same deal. You may remember Finnegan in 2014 made his major league debut the same year he was drafted. In fact, he's the answer to a trivia question. He's the only player ever, as it's 3-2, to appear in the NCAA College World Series and Major League Baseball's World Series in the same year. Same kind of at bat Hernandez had leading off the game. He worked the count to 3-2 before he hit the home run.
You know, Tom, if you think about what you just said, that little anecdote about Finnegan pitching in the College World Series and the Major League World Series in the same year, it is really unbelievable. I mean, here's a young man that will turn 24 years old in about a week, and he's really the elder statesman right now on this pitching staff until Bronson Arroyo comes around. I mean, one of the elder statesmen. Obviously, Feldman is over 30 years old, but I mean, at 23 years old, the other young guys like Cody Reed and Amir Garrett and Rookie Davis and so on, they're all looking up to Brandon Finnegan, asking him, well, how do we do it? How do we act like a big leaguer? And that's a lot of responsibility for a young man who's still trying to figure out his way as a major league starting pitcher.
So he takes care of Hernandez on the high one hopper to Peraza, and here's Howie Kendrick.
I like that pitch right there. The leadoff pitch, off speed. You're not trying to blow it by anybody. Kendrick showed himself to be pretty good on the fastball the other day. So you flip a little breaking ball in there for an easy strike.
Howie Kendrick, the first Philadelphia Philly to collect 3 hits on opening day in his Philadelphia debut since the great Jim Thome had 3 hits in his debut all the way back in 2003. Boy, there's a name from the past. Saw where Jim Thome's going to join Jim Brown and Austin Carr, 3 of the giants in Cleveland sports history. They'll be the 3 guys that'll throw out the first pitch on the Indians' home opener this weekend. Pretty good trio. Three balls and a strike on Kendrick. Tardy on a fastball at 94, another full count.
Well, I think the fastball for Brandon Finnegan at 94 miles an hour is really effectively a little bit better than that because he's a short guy. He's only 5'11" compared to other pitchers nowadays that are seemingly go 6'5" and 6'6", and he jumps at you a little bit. And he gets your heart going when you see him jump right at you. Really, in that way, he reminds me a lot of Don Gullett. I mean, I don't know whether he'll ever be the superlative pitcher that Don Gullett was in his major league career. But they're built the same. They both have very good arms and kind of learning on the job because Gullett was a young man when they brought him to the major leagues. And when he threw strikes, oh boy, was he good. And he threw strikes most of the time.
Yep. Tried to throw another 3-2 pitch, this time an off-speed pitch, and that just sailed on him. So that's a 1-out walk to Howie Kendrick here in the opening inning. You look at the opponent's batting average last season against Finnegan. They hit .236. But this combination right here is what really did him in. Second most walks among all pitchers in the league, 84 in 172 innings. And the 29 home runs allowed. You can live with the 29 home runs if maybe you cut that walk number by half or a little more than half.
Well, it's like I've said many times before, if you're wild outside the zone, you're going to be wild inside the zone. And I bet if you looked at those home runs that he gave up and where those pitches are located, they're pretty much right down the middle, you know, the spot that you want to stay away from. So there's a difference between control and command. Right now, he's trying to master his command.
Odubel Herrera, dangerous left-handed batter, but boy did Finnegan. The second half of last season from the All-Star break on, left-handed batters collectively a 154 average against Finnegan, second best in all of Major League Baseball, and they did not hurt him with a home run. The .250 slugging percentage against Finnegan, also second best in Major League Baseball. 0-2 on Herrera. The breaking ball's not there yet.
Well, the adjustment that he made last year against left-handers had a lot to do with the two-seam fastball. You know, coming up when you're the hardest thrower in the league like Brandon Finnegan was, and when he was a very successful college pitcher at TCU, he never really threw a two-seam fastball. He began to adopt that last year, and that is a ball that will run inside left-handers, right in on their hands. And that was very effective in getting them off his slider.
Late swing, defensive swing to stay alive. Well, tonight's storyline brought to you by Oakland. Here are the numbers against left-handed batters the first half versus the second half. 102-point differential from first to second in opponents' batting average, and nearly 100-point differential in opponents' slugging percentage. Pretty impressive turnaround.
I think a lot of credit has to go with the Reds pitching coaches. Mac Jenkins, Teddy Power, working with him and finally getting him to buy into some of those theories that are just simply going to make him a better pitcher. And for Brandon Finnegan, really it boils down to less is more. Really less effort on every pitch. Let your arm do the work. Don't try to fire everything by every hitter that you see.
And that is the one thing that Greg Maddux talked about all the time as a young pitcher. I happened to be the announcer with the Cubs when Maddux, his first couple of years in the league, he really struggled. And it's exactly what you were talking about, Chris. If you can't put him away, you're trying harder and throwing harder and throwing harder with more effort and effort and effort. And when that light bulb finally came on, we know what happened after that. They get one. And Votto, a nice job to block that throw in the dirt by Peraza. So 2 away in the inning, and Maikel Franco coming up.
It's a nice little play right there by Zach Cozart to get that lead runner. There are some shortstops who would take the sure thing, and that would be field the ball, take their out at first base, but then you leave a runner in scoring position. But you get it on the short hop right there, and because he charged that ball at the very end, that's the only reason the Reds were able to nail that lead runner.
So now Franco, who went 1 for 4, also drew a walk on opening day. The top part of this batting order was really good on Monday. Hernandez had a hit, including a home run. Kendrick 3 hits and a double. Herrera a double, 2 walks. Franco on base twice. And there's a lot to like about the top of this batting order. They're young. Outside of Kendrick, he's been around a while. But Hernandez, Herrera, Franco, Joseph, Galvis near the bottom. It's a young group. Ripped into center field, a base hit. Boy, that makes a loud noise coming off Franco's bat, doesn't it?
Well, when he looks for fastball and he gets a fastball out over the plate, he's going to drop the barrel on it. Look at him wind up to get to this pitch. And it is just about right there. That's what we're talking about in a nutshell with Brandon Finnegan. Is staying out of that part of the zone. I mean, that goes for any pitcher out there, but especially a young pitcher where, you start making some pitches on the corners to Maikel Franco. We talked about being able to get him out if you can locate down and away. But you make a mistake, you're going to hear a loud crack.
Here's Tommy Joseph, who in 308 at-bats in his rookie year last year clubbed 21 home runs. Was 0 for 4 on opening day, struck out twice. 25th pitch of the inning coming for Finnegan. And it should be the final out of the inning. Hamilton waits, and that's all for the Phillies. A hit and a walk, 2 left. Billy to start things when we return. His lineup stacks up exactly the way it did on opening day outside of Finnegan. Brought to you by Menards. It'll be Hamilton, Peraza, and Joey. Duvall, Suarez, and Schebler. Zach Cozart, Tucker Barnhart, then the pitcher Finnegan. Talented young right-hander for the Philadelphia Phillies is Jared Eichhoff.
Yeah, he's very talented. You're right, Tom. And he had 33 starts last year. He's only 26 years old. Last year was the year in which he made his first ever Major League opening day roster. Got a good fastball, but his really go-to pitches are his sliders against right-handers and his curveball against left-handers.
Numbers presented by Mazda. Here's Billy Hamilton. 1 for 4 on opening day. That was a triple. And he knocked in a run on a sac fly in the third inning on Monday. That's when the Reds had the bases loaded with none out and managed just the 1 run.
You know, it'll be interesting to watch how defenses play Billy Hamilton when they think he may bunt. And you see the first baseman right here. If Billy Hamilton is able to get the first baseman to field the bunt anywhere in that area right here, he's going to be able to beat him to the bag once he fields it, because the second baseman will never be able to get there. Who cares?
If it's fair, it's got a chance to get out of here straight down the line and foul. That would have been right at the base of the wall, or maybe the top of that yellow stripe.
One footnote on that bunting strategy for Hamilton: it is more difficult for a left-handed hitter to pull the bunt down the first base line. Your natural motion is to kind of push it to third.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And there's that curveball you were talking about. That's a nice play by the second baseman, Cesar Hernandez. Juan Samuel, the one-time Red, now a coach of these Philadelphia Phillies. He says these 2 guys in the middle are as good as it gets on defense. Speaking of, presented by Ford, Kendrick, Herrera, Altair, Franco, Galvis, Hernandez, Joseph along the infield, and again Rupp behind the plate. Fouled out of play by Peraza. He had a nice opening day game, 2 out of 4. He did bounce into a double play with the bases loaded. Reds had a couple of big chances on opening day and let him slip away. Trying to do better than that here tonight. Otto waiting in the on-deck circle. He had a hitless opening day in 4 trips. 1-2 on Peraza. Grounds it foul. Now Eichhoff going back to work, and it's on the ground again, this time backhand fashion by Hernandez. 2 down.
Still, you got to like that at bat from Jose Peraza. I mean, he went with the pitch, he went down. It was a very excellent pitch. He had a 1 ball, 2 strike count, so he had to protect the plate and just tried to put the bat on the ball. I think as Peraza gets more command of the strike zone, he'll chase fewer pitches out of the zone early, but when you have 2 strikes on you right here, this is something that you don't want to get rung up on strike 3. But he's able to hit that ball and hit it pretty well.
Votto 0 for 4 on Monday. Struck out once, bounced into a double play in his first at bat of the year. 2-0.
I think you're going to see more and more of that this year. I mean, National League pitchers are going to have to figure out a way to pitch to Joey Votto because they couldn't get him out in the second half last year. once he became alive, I mean, every other time he came to the plate, he was on base one way or another. And I think when all else fails, you're going to see them pound him inside just to see if he can handle that.
Well, he handles this one. Driven into deep right center field, but it's run down at the warning track. And that will end the inning in 1-2-3 fashion. No score at the end of one. To look forward to Miller time later on in tonight's game. That'll be brought to you by Miller Lite. It's great to have you with us on this Wednesday night from downtown Cincinnati. Good crowd tonight, especially when you consider the fact it's a second game of the year, which most days of a Major League Baseball season is the lowest attended game. But tonight, not a big crowd. They're not making the big deal out of opening night this year that they have in past years, where the players walk the red carpet before the game and they have the fireworks after the game. All of those resources are being pulled into kids' opening day. That is the day before Easter, a week from this Saturday here at Great American Ballpark.
That ought to be a fun night.
It's going to be a great time for the kids. There won't be fireworks that night. For the youngsters, they want a lot of the young kids to come down here, so they're going to play an afternoon game at 1:10 on that Saturday. But it's going to be great. They're going to have the players walk the red carpet. Fans can come out there. They have a big giveaway. So again, that is a week from Saturday. Reds will be hitting the road after the game tomorrow. They'll play in St. Louis over the weekend. As it's 3 balls and a strike on Aaron Altair, getting the start in right field here in the second game of the year. Michael Saunders started on opening day. 3-1 delivery. Hit off the end of the bat, foul and out of play.
Altair, a young man that was born in Germany. His mother was in the service. When he came back to the United States with his family, he was raised in Buckeye, Arizona, which is just a stone's throw away from the Red Spring Training headquarters in Goodyear.
Strike 3 called. Altair thought that ball was low and in. Phil Cuzzy says strike 3, and that's strikeout number 1 for Brandon Finnegan.
You know, Phil Cuzzy's been flinching back there on a lot of these pitches that were very close in the entire at bat. And that is clearly a strike. When you're looking at the bottom of the strike zone, you're talking about the hollow of the knees. That ball, at least according to our pitch tracks, was plenty high enough and right on the inside corner.
Broken bat, two hopper to the shortstop, Cozart by Rupp. And the first two gone here in the Philadelphia second inning of a scoreless game. He could use a quick inning. And to get the first two outs, only 7 pitches for Brandon Finnegan. He had 25 of them in the first inning.
That pitch count can be overblown early on. You know, you start looking at the pitch count number instead of what the number is on the board as far as the scoreboard. I don't think high pitch counts really bother Finnegan, but it's become common now to make sure that you handle your pitchers, especially early in the year. They're not going to go more than 90 to 100 pitches. So if you're Brian Price, you want as many innings as possible out of those 100 pitches.
Reds bullpen threw the ball very well on opening day, allowing just the 1 run. That was a run allowed by Blake Wood. Barrett Aston made his major league debut, had to pitch around an error and got out of trouble with the lone out that he recorded. Drew Storn, a scoreless inning. That one hooked down the left field line, foul by Freddie Galvis. And then the final 2 innings, no hit shutout baseball by Lorenzen and Raisel Iglesias. Now the 1-2 on Galvis. Swing and a miss. 1-2-3 for Finnegan. With a couple of strikeouts, Reds will bat in the second inning. Brewers, this is a day we were talking about. Saturday, April the 15th, the first 20,000 fans in attendance receive a 2017 magnetic schedule and car magnet. That's thanks to PNC Bank. 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com for tickets. Adam Duvall, 2 hits and 4 at bats, including a double on opening day. Slow breaking ball, stays high. 1 ball and 1 strike. Duvall a year ago, 33 home runs, 103 runs batted in for this Louisville, Kentucky native.
Well, he played in 150 games, and for Duvall, that was probably the biggest difference. When he was with the Giants, he never played more than 27 major league games in a season. So the Reds were desperate for offense. They saw what he could do in spring training. It was really a play-out audition between Duvall and Scott Schebler, and Duvall got hot early, and he kept that left field job. That, of course, went on to become an all-star.
Pretty good giddy up on that fastball up around the letters.
Well, it's a great combination of pitches. Eichhoff first throws that breaking ball, really over-the-top curveball, goes off the table on the previous pitch, and then comes right up inside. And Duvall, try as he might to get his hands inside, just couldn't get the bat on the ball.
So the first 4 retired by Eichhoff. Originally a 15th round draft pick in 2011 by the Rangers. Then came over in that big Cole Hamels trade in July of 2015. Born in Evansville, Indiana. Still lives in Evansville, Indiana. There's a tapper down to third. And the throw is in time to get Suarez 2 away. Went to high school at Modern Day High School in Illinois. And the Rangers found him out of Olney Central Community College.
You know, when the Rangers made that deal with the Phillies for Cole Hamels, Eichhoff was basically a throw-in in that deal. They had, I think they got 5 players in return. And the last guy really on the list was probably Eichhoff, but he's been quoted as saying, I didn't look at it like that I was a throw-in.
High fly ball.
He wanted to prove that he was a guy that was going to be a big part of it.
We'll talk more about that. Eichhoff off to a good start. He's retired the first 6.
And time to get your game on. We'll have the series finale tomorrow afternoon against the Phillies. Reds Live hits the air at noon, followed by the first pitch with us at 12:30 on the home of the Reds, Fox Sports Ohio, and streaming on Fox Sports Go. And it will be the Major League debut of one Rookie Davis tomorrow. And I talked to him before the game, and he's got a ton of family and friends that are going to be along for the ride. And one of the favorite parts of my job is to get reaction from mom and dad as someone makes their Major League debut, and we'll effort that tomorrow.
Well, we are excited about that, and I'm sure Rookie Davis has to be extraordinarily nervous. I mean, you can say all the right things and make yourself feel like I'm okay, but Chris, you know better than anybody. Walking out there on a Major League field for the very first time, indescribable.
Well, you know, he has a certain amount of stage presence that I think impressed everybody in spring training, but that will not by itself make the butterflies go away. In fact, I'll talk to Jeff Brantley of the Cowboy. We'll talk a little pitching about Rookie Davis in the pregame show tomorrow, and talk about, you know, the butterflies you have when you make your Major League debut, what you can do to help, and maybe some of his best, you know, his strengths and his weaknesses as a young right-handed power pitcher.
Well, it didn't take long to take care of the pitcher Eichhoff. 3 strikeouts in the last 4 batters here. You get a look at the duo that will make their Major League debuts in back-to-back games. Davis on the right in the final game of this series tomorrow, and on the left, tall, powerful left-hander, one-time collegiate basketball player, Amir Garrett. Well, he's rearing back and just throwing missiles right now.
Well, he's found his good release point. And even though they're registering 92, and I say only 92 on the radar gun because we've got guys that throw much harder, the way he jumps at the hitter, and I've always thought that a high velocity pitch coming out of a shorter pitcher is more difficult to hit than out of a bigger pitcher because it really sneaks up on you.
Finnegan walked the batter, allowed a single in a 25-pitch opening inning. He's retired the last 5. Make it 6, including 4 strikeouts.
Well, anytime you get the kind of swings and misses that Brandon Finnegan does consistently on nearly every one of his pitches, I mean, there's a lot of deception going on in addition just to good live fastballs.
Then pulled the string on the first pitch there to Kendrick, had him out in front. Back-to-back outstanding innings from Finnegan. He's retired 7 in a row.
I'm Jim Day. Zach Cozart will lead off this half inning for the Reds. And we found out over the last several years that he likes donkeys, and he loves to take his son, Cooper, to see the donkeys, particularly in spring training. Now, Joey Votto got wind that he likes donkeys. And he basically told him that, hey, Cozy, if you make the All-Star team this year, I will buy you a donkey. And that donkey will be in the clubhouse right after the All-Star game. So I'm putting the challenge out to you, teammate. Make the All-Star game, and that donkey is yours.
How about that?
Well, Rick Stowe will love that.
I'm sure.
Does it come with a shovel and a bucket?
Well, Rick Stowe will know how to take care of it no matter what comes his way, because he is the man.
Well, he's been around for so long. He can go back to the Farmers' Nights at Synergy Field and Riverfront Stadium. Even Shotzi, when Shotzi had his way around the stadium, I'm sure Rick was right there to help out.
I tell you, they ought to bring back those Farmers' Nights. You go back and look at some of the pictures of those nights, and I remember coming down here as a kid. There's a fly ball in the right field. You get Major League Baseball players out there trying to milk a cow, and I mean, it was great, just good, clean fun.
Sure
man.
was.
I mean, you would belly laugh watching some of the things that would go on Farmers' Night.
And they were big nights. They had more than one per year. They may have had 2 or 3 a year.
I mean, why wouldn't you have it here in Cincinnati? We have so many farmers and farmland all around Reds country in Ohio and Kentucky and Indiana and West Virginia. I mean, it's all around us. That ball smoked into right center field off the bat of Tucker Barnhart. And he cruises into second base with the 1-out double. Tucker, 1 of 3 on opening day, also drew a walk. First Reds base runner of the game against Eichhoff.
You know, the number 8 spot in the order is probably the most difficult spot to hit in, because there are times when you're being pitched around and you're just not going to get any good pitches to hit. But with 1 out, nobody on base, he figures he's going to get a get-ahead fastball right there from Jared Eichhoff, and he does. Puts a good swing on it.
Well, you saw that segment a number of times, and we showed a little bit of it again tonight during the pregame show when we were filling some time due to the rain delay. Now, Jim Day, Brandon Finnegan told you that his goal this year, among many, was to hit a home run.
It's his dream to hit a home run in the big leagues, and he wants to put down the myth that starting pitchers aren't great athletes. He thinks he's a hitter. We'll find out.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that did not help the reputation of pitchers were the comments made by Jeremy Hellickson after the game on opening day. That after hitting the triple in the 6th inning, he was out of gas. He had a very low pitch count. I had about 15 people ask me about that comment. Buddies back on the East Coast that had read some of those comments in the Philadelphia paper, and they were just like, does that surprise you, being a quote-unquote baseball guy? Does it surprise you, Chris Welsh?
Well, it does, and it surprised some of the Philly coaches, too, who I spoke with today about that. But at the same time, you know, the emotions of opening day, I don't know how well the guy slept the night before.
Sure.
There are a lot of things that go into that. Now, if he says that in the middle of the season, then you got to wonder. But, I mean, the way they work these guys out in spring training, it should not be a conditioning issue. I'm sure it's not with Hellickson. It could have been mental exhaustion. And the other part of that is sometimes pitchers will not admit that. Sometimes pitchers will say, I'm good, because they want the macho to stay in there, and sometimes a little bit too long.
All right, so now a scoring chance. Reds needing a 2-out hit from Billy Hamilton. Runner at third. No score. We're in the third. And a first pitch breaking ball misses the strike zone. Ball 1 to Billy. He hit the ball hard to the right side, and Cesar Hernandez, ranging far to his left, able to get it in time to throw out Hamilton. 2-0. Tucked in on the corners, Franco and Joseph, just in case Hamilton thinks about bunting. 3 balls and no strikes. Three and 0, runner at third, no score, 2 outs, last of the third inning, and nowhere near the strike zone. A 4-pitch walk to Hamilton will bring Peraza to the plate. You know, we talked about Billy. There was a time some felt he should give up batting left-handed. But the second half of last season, take a look at the on-base percentage for Billy Hamilton. Our IGS bringing the energy. Hamilton number 5 on that list. An on-base percentage over 400. So the catcher rub making sure everybody's on the same page here. Potentially there's a lot happening. Eichhoff's number 1 job, of course, is to zero in on Peraza, but everybody else has to be alert. With a speedy Hamilton over at first base. You have Barnhart at third, 2 away in the inning. Peraza grounded out to second his first time up.
Well, if you're wondering, Eichhoff last year gave up 9 stolen bases. Catchers have the Phillies threw him out 5 times. So that's not bad at all. But I think that his focus is probably on Peraza here because you've got Joey Votto on deck. And that's probably the last guy he wants to face in this inning.
Runners on the corners, 2 away. There goes Hamilton. Pitch taken, fake throw. So that's Billy's first steal of the year. And tonight in his 400th game, that's his 185th stolen base. And by the way, just to give you an idea of what kind of base stealer Vince Coleman was, and Chris, you know as well as anybody. For Hamilton, that's his 185th stolen base in 400 games. For Vince Coleman, in 400 games, 99 more than Hamilton.
Well, he was just trying to keep up with his teammates.
Straight up in the air on a 1-0 pitch. Reds will leave a pair of runners in scoring position. We've played 3 in Cincinnati, and we are scoreless. Children's, changing the outcome together. By your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And only T-Mobile lets you stream, post, and share all things MLB. With T-Mobile One, unlimited data means unlimited baseball.
I'll tell you, Tom, all you've got to do is mention Farmers Night, and Twitter starts to blow up. People are tweeting pictures of the old Farmers Night at Synergy Field. I got a picture of Danny Graves milking a cow. I mean, it's classic.
There are so many classic photographs and memories and stories from those nights here in the heartland of America. And for many, many years they had, as you said, Farmers Night, more than one in many seasons. Chris, I think we should start a campaign to bring it back as Herrera bounces out on the first pitch here in the fourth.
I think it's a great idea.
Did you participate in a Farmer's Night?
I did.
And what did you do?
I milked the cow.
You did? How'd that go?
It went pretty good after I got some instruction. Yeah. There's a technique to it, obviously.
Yes.
But I got it all over my shoes and socks, pants. And I was one of the few that didn't change their uniform after milking the cow and sat on the bench. And guys were moving away from about the seventh inning. I couldn't get anybody to sit near me.
But what were some of the other things? I'm trying to remember some of the other things they had.
Well, they had the egg toss.
Right. That's a great one.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you got some of these current Reds players out there, and you know, you go to 4th of July parties, things like that, and that's always a great game. It's so much fun for adults and kids.
Now, you're not the kind of guy to slip in a hard-boiled egg, are you? So
no,
that you take the prize?
No, I think it's so much fun to be a part of it all. It's fun. High fly ball, left center field. Hamilton there. 2 out. Franco gave that one a ride to the deepest part.
Tom, during batting practice, the ball today was really carrying. This is before the rain came in. I mean, it was just jumping out of here. The wind was blowing very hard. The flags are actually blowing in, but the ball, for some reason, was really going out. Now that the rain has come in, it's cooled down a few degrees, maybe a little bit thicker air. It just doesn't seem to be carrying, because we thought that Votto hit a ball much better than it went, and I thought that ball had a pretty good chance of getting off the wall too.
Well, I appreciate you kind of having my back, but look, just tell the truth. There was only one guy in this booth that was fooled by Votto's ball, because you made it a point to look at me like, is there something wrong with you? When I got a little excited, that ball left the bat.
I'll tell you an old pitcher's trick. Okay, when you're out on the mound and you hear that loud crack, first instinct is to just drop your head. But what you really should do is you watch your outfielders, because they're the ones that are going to tell you. Now, if they're looking up, then you can drop your head.
That's right. They appeal down to first. No.
But what a difference here for Finnegan after that first inning, when he, threw 25 or 27 pitches, something like that, and he's just going right after him. I mean, 11 pitches last inning, 11 in the third, as well. I mean, the second and third innings, and you know, when you throw strikes, it just changes everything.
Well, we brought up earlier, if you weren't with us, opponents hit 236 off Finnegan last year, and he is mowing them down right now. 10 in a row retired, and he struck out half of them. Let's see if his team can get it going offensively. Votto to lead off the fourth. to win that beautiful tundra. And you can register for your chance to win at an upcoming game. Just stop by your Cincinnati and or Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. The rain's starting to fall pretty heavy right now as the Reds come to bat in the last of the fourth inning. We're hoping this will scoot right on through. They're going to keep playing. Votto, a fly ball into right center field his first time up. Look at that picture. I don't know if that little fella has his face painted up or whether that's ice cream or something all over it. Some powdered sugar of some kind.
Cotton candy, maybe?
There you go.
Hey, you save a little bit for later.
I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. Popped up short left. Easy play for Kendrick, although he is looking straight up into the falling rain. One away. Big Reds fan up in Columbus watching the game tonight. Mark Miser, one of many, Chris, who continues to send out tweets and all kinds of pictures about Farmers Night from years gone past. One of the great photos, I don't know if we're going to be able to put it up for you. We'll do our best a little bit later on. Is one where Joe Nuxall is pushing my dad around in a wheelbarrow. Classic picture.
It is a classic picture. Ooh.
Beautiful breaking ball out of the right hand of Eichhoff.
Especially when you consider the reaction of the hitter. I mean, when you see your hitter buckle a little bit, you know you got a good one.
Check swing and a miss, and that's good morning, good afternoon, and good night for Eichhoff on Suarez. 2 strikeouts for the Philly right-hander. Pitchers duel here at Great American Ballpark tonight. On over 400 supported devices. Plus get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions do apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. How good has this guy been since the opening inning?
Well, he's been really, really good. And anytime you get a pitcher who gets this many swings and misses on pitches that look like they're, right down the middle, I mean, there's a lot of deception there. And I really believe that when the Reds first acquired Brandon Finnegan in that trade for Johnny Cueto with the Kansas City Royals, Finnegan was destined to be in the bullpen.
One pitch, one out. Off the ground of Altair's bat. That's 11 straight now retired by Finnegan.
And in the bullpen is where the Royals started Finnegan, probably because they wanted to make sure that they didn't overdo his work on his arm. After coming out of college, he had a little soreness in his shoulder, and they wanted to limit his use. But ever since he comes to Cincinnati, I mean, he has made it loud and clear, perfectly known to everybody. He wants to be a starter. End of story.
Cameron Rupp, the batter. He grounded out to Cozart his first time up. If you weren't with us in the opening inning, I mean, it was, you know, the Brandon Finnegan we would see from time to time last year. Went 3-2 on the first batter, 3-2 on the second batter. He walked Kendrick, the second batter of the game. He got an out, but then Franco singled. This should be the second out of the inning on the fly ball that'll back up Schebler, and it is. That's 12 straight retired now by Finnegan. But when he got that final out on Tommy Joseph to end the inning, that has started this run, and it's a mighty good one. 12 straight, and only, what, 2 balls have left the infield.
A couple of pitches right on the outside black.
Freddie Galvis, a switch hitter. 1 ball, 1 strike. Right at the third baseman Suarez. Plenty of time. Inning over. 4 consecutive 1-2-3 innings for Brandon Finnegan.
Transmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, Reds fans, be there when the Ohio Lottery Reds postgame concert series kicks off with Kaleo Friday, May the 5th. $25 includes your Reds game ticket and gets you on the field to see Kaleo perform hits like Way Down We Go and All the Pretty Girls. Don't miss Kaleo live right here at GABP. Buy your tickets at reds.com/ Kaleo.
You're probably your favorite Icelandic adult alternative band.
I like alternative music,
Yeah.
and if they happen to be, Icelandic, then so be it. Funny you say that. I read a very interesting story the other day about Johnny Rotten. Remember him, the lead singer of the Sex
Sure.
Pistols?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he actually looks like he's put it together a little bit. One ball and one strike on Scott Schebler. Fooled badly by that slow breaking ball. That was a pitch you talked about, Chris, before this game ever started. Part of the arsenal for Eichhoff.
We've been talking so much about Brandon Finnegan that Eichhoff has dialed his game up a little bit too. Eichhoff's one of those rare pitchers that throws a traditional curveball. I mean, you just don't see that many anymore. Most guys nowadays are throwing fastball, slider, some form of a breaking ball. But he's not overpowering. I mean, even though he's a big guy, he's about 6'4", 6'5", 230 pounds. But he's throwing in the low 90s, 90, 91, 92. That last pitch of Scott Schebler called for strike 3 is at 91 miles an hour. So if you line him up against all the other prospects probably in the Phillies organization, you say, well, this guy's a little short, until you see his command of that breaking ball. And that's what sets him apart. Boy, did he ever finish up strong last year.
Deep in a hole at short. Galvis cuts it loose. Man, is that a good effort. Cozart able to leg out an infield hit, but we brought up earlier, this is some kind of middle infield defensively for Philadelphia.
Galvis is a guy that they're thinking that maybe the clock is ticking on him, because the best prospect in the Phillies organization is a shortstop. But I mean, he comes to play. This young man is a very good athlete. Hit 20 home runs last year. That's a nice play.
So an infield hit for Cozart. Reds have 2 hits in the game. Philadelphia has 1. The only Philadelphia hit came in the first inning. Fourth batter, the game rattle. Barnhart has the other Reds hit when he doubled into right center field with 1 out in the 3rd inning. Joseph for 1, and that's a double play to end the inning. We have played 5 here at Great American Ballpark. Finnegan and Eichhoff going toe-to-toe in a scoreless game.
Reds broadcast for Reds Live, the pregame edition. It's brought to you by Ray St. Clair Roofing right here on Fox Sports Ohio. And tomorrow, high noon, as we close out the first series of the 2017 season. As we told you earlier, it will be the MLB debut of one Rookie Davis, and he's already been indoctrinated to Cincinnati because, as he tweeted out, he took his first trip to Skyline Chili. And he said, first trip to Skyline Chili, wow, exclamation point. Thanks for the hospitality and great food. Hashtag three-way. So he's already got that going for him.
Hey, now that's big league right there. So there's a matchup. Clay Buchholz. I mean, you talk about two different worlds. The two guys facing each other tomorrow. Buchholz has been pitching in, one of the true meccas of Major League Baseball.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, through pennant races and the feverish pitch day in and day out to play for the Boston Red Sox. And here you have a young man who had dreams of being in that exact same sort of venue coming up through the New York Yankees organization. Then he came over in the deal for Aroldis Chapman. And the young North Carolinian will make his Major League debut tomorrow. Jim, you being Mr. CincinnatiUSA.com, I think you ought to make it a point to start breaking in some of these, rookies by taking them on a little tour around the town every now and again.
I'm game.
I know
down.
you are.
I hung out with some of the rookies in spring training, so already in with them. So I think that's a great idea.
Great idea. The last Philadelphia Philly to reach base was a 2-out single by Franco in the first inning. 13 straight set down by Brandon Finnegan. He faces a pitcher on a 2-2 count. 3-2 to open the sixth inning.
Brandon Finnegan has one of those pitching deliveries where he pitches out of the full windup, but it looks like it's a stretch. And actually, Major League Baseball made a change to its rule this year to allow that delivery where your foot is parallel to the pitching rubber, and your other foot, your stepping foot, is in front. So normally that's a stretch position or the set position. And pitchers, with a runner on base, you're going to tell the umpire, am I pitching out of the full windup or not? Now, really, the only time that would ever come into play is when you have bases loaded, and a pitcher feels better out of either the stretch or the full windup. He may feel better out of the full windup and tell the umpire, hey, I'm going out of the full windup here, so don't think that my movement is going to be a balk. But he is way over on that third base side, and he gets another punch out.
That is 6 of them. And all 6 have come during this stretch where he's now retired 14 straight.
That's the windup, a very little leg step backwards. Nice strong leg drive. And one of the reasons Finnegan is way over there on the third base side, because he pitches just slightly across his body. And the way his body is lined up, it's very difficult for him to get that ball inside to right-handers if he was way over on the first base side. When we see Cody Reed come into a ball game, left-hander as well, he'll be way over on the first base side of the rubber. So it's all a matter of preference.
Back to the top of the order we go, and Cesar Hernandez, 0 for 2, is bounced to second and struck out swinging. Good change up there by Finnegan to get ahead 0-2 on Hernandez. "14 in a row retired by the Reds left-hander, and now tries to put away Hernandez. Fastball misses.
Hernandez spends the winter in Miami, as does Reds third baseman Eugenio Suarez. In fact, they're very close friends, and they work out together really just about all winter long.
Strike 3 called.
Boy,
fastball at 96 miles per hour.
And threading the needle. That's the kind of pitch that our good friend Mark Grant out there in San Diego would say, you get the little number 7 detail brush. You dip it in just a dab of paint, and you go right out there and paint the black. Boy, that's about as good as you can get.
Well, Clayton Richard must have been doing plenty of that for Mark Grant last night. 8 shutout innings for Clayton Richard against the Dodgers in the San Diego win.
It's amazing how the scores of these ball games come way down compared to spring training.
Sure. Votto able to stay with it and feeds a covering Finnegan, who flips it in backhanded style into the stands. Joey staying there, and a good feed, good catch by Finnegan. At the ballpark here in Cincinnati every year, at least a time or two. No one loved Farmers Night more than Joe Nuxhall.
You're right.
Pride of Hamilton, Ohio, and one of the great pictures that wound up on a Kroger calendar is that right there.
I still laugh at that picture.
I mean, that's as good as it gets right there.
Did you ever ask him any details about that picture?
No. Believe me, I'm not interested at all. But they had a lot of laughs together, that's for sure.
Yeah, this is the kind of ball game that Brandon Finnegan probably comes up to the plate and says, you know what, 0-0, I can change that.
Well, he took a hearty cut at it right there, and he's sort of shaking his head as if to say, should have done some damage with that pitch. Two and two on Finnegan. He'll be followed by Billy Hamilton and then Jose Peraza. No runs, 1 hit for the Phils. No runs, 2 hits for the Reds. Closest thing to a rally the Reds have had tonight came in the 3rd. They got a 1-out double by Barnhart. Hamilton drew a 2-out walk, but Peraza popped up to center to end the inning. In fact, that, along with the 5th, the infield single by Kozar, the only 2 innings the Reds have put a runner on base against Eichhoff. Finnegan gone looking. 4 of them in the game for Eichhoff. Billy has bounced to second, drawn a walk, stolen a base. Pirates and the Red Sox are in the 8th inning. A scoreless game at Fenway tonight. Cardinals and Cubs called their game very early on. That was a rubber game of that season opening 3-game series in St. Louis. Two and one to Billy Hamilton, trying to get aboard and make something happen in this scoreless game, last of the 6th inning. Back-to-back strikeouts to open up this 6th.
You know, and you've got a big roundhouse curveball like Eichhoff does. It starts from the perception of the hitter like it's going to be out of the strike zone high. Starts way up there and then it just drops right in, and by that time there's nothing you can do about it. You know, the slider has pretty much replaced the curveball as the favorite breaking pitch of most pitchers. It's easier to learn. You can throw it at full effort, and most pitchers nowadays are coming up learning how to throw at full effort.
Hot smash knocked down by the Philadelphia pitcher, inning over. Reds retired in order. We've played 6, no score. Pitchers starting with Eichhoff have been lights out through the front 6.
It seems like they've raised each other's game a little bit. As one guy gets better, so does the next. So the only struggle really in this ball game has been Finnegan in the very first inning. But beyond that, I mean, it has been lights out. The Phillies had a chance to score a run. They didn't take advantage of it. And they've got no runs, 7 strikeouts in 6 innings for Brandon Finnegan. He's given up only 1 hit. He's only walked 1. And he is just rolling right along.
He's retired 16 in a row. That's the most retired by Finnegan in his major league career consecutively. But now he's going right through the very teeth of this Philadelphia batting order. 3, 4, and 5. That means Herrera, Franco, and Tommy Joseph. No score, top of the 7th inning. Brewers a 3-0 lead over Colorado. That game at the bottom of the 4th inning. Rockies going for the series opening sweep. And what a matchup tonight in Citi Field. Check swing and a miss. Bartolo Colon, the big sexy as they called him in the Big Apple, pitching for Atlanta, a 1-1 game against Jacob deGrom, that game in the 8th. Jay Bruce a home run for New York. Read a great article the other day about Jay Bruce, and obviously he did not play well at all after being traded from the Reds to the Mets last summer. And he is highly determined to prove his worth in New York City this season for the Mets. Fastball in. 2-2 to Herrera. And we certainly root for him to do well. Great young man. Well, that's a good pitch right there. Fastball 95 in on the hands of a left-handed batting Herrera.
And you see Herrera set up and you're thinking to yourself, well, there's no way with that wide open stance and I'm going to be able to get the ball in on him, right? But he brings that right leg around, squares up, and if you throw it right underneath his hands, and that's where Finnegan threw that pitch, there's just nothing you can do with it.
East. To the count. Oh, that buried him right on the inside corner again with that fastball at 95 miles per hour.
Wow, there's a little darting action on that fastball, and that was a big difference maker, I think, for Brandon Finnegan last year, because you throw that pitch with a two-seam grip and it will not cut across the plate. It'll stay right inside. It may even have a little darting action back in towards the left-handed hitter. What a great location. Well, he's pitching with some kind of confidence right now.
Fastball paints the outside corner at 94 miles per hour.
And that's where you need to stay on Franco. Franco steps a little bit in the bucket. You make a mistake out over the plate, he can hit it a long way. Going right back out there again.
Votto, the feed to the covering Finnegan. And just like that, 2 up and 2 down.
It was Franco that has had the only hit for the Phillies all night long. A laser shot of a line drive right back through the box. That was back in the 1st inning.
18 in a row now retired by Finnegan. This is the best run he's ever had in terms of the number of batters retired consecutively in any major league start. And he's going for number 19 here with Joseph. Joseph started this run of 18 in a row retired when he popped up stranding 2 in the 1st inning, and the bottom fell out of that pitch. Finnegan changeup in the mid-80s, and his fastball has been anywhere from 92 to 96.
Well, the hitter swings at the arm speed of the pitcher. They don't really see the changeup coming out of your hand and swing at the ball. So he really sells it like a fastball. Tried to throw his best ever slider that time. It just blew his front side wide open.
Reds will have the heart of the order in the bottom of the inning like the Phillies do here in the top. Both pitchers have faced the exact same number of hitters.
You know, Finnegan's an example, Tom, of a pitcher getting his timing perfect. I mean, in the first inning, he was only throwing 91, 92 miles an hour. That last pitch at 95.
19 in a row retired by Finnegan, and that's his 9th punch out of the night. Mercy, mercy, what a night for Brandon Finnegan. 19 in a row. With a new Star Wars themed ticket package. For as low as $30, you get a Reds ticket and a limited edition Star Wars Stormtrooper. Now, limited quantities are available. Purchase the Star Wars themed ticket package today at Reds.com/Star Wars. And by the way, Stormtroopers only available with the purchase of a Star Wars ticket package. All right, here we go. No score, last of the 7th inning. 3, 4, and 5 in the lineup. And Votto lifts one into right center field. Drifting back is Altair. Goodbye.
Well, did you watch the outfielders that time?
Indeed.
And so did Joey Votto. They're trying to come inside on Votto, and that's a tough place to be. I mean, if you don't get it in there far enough, and you let him get some of that barrel on the ball will pop out of here no problem. With his strength and that trajectory, he knew it right from the start.
Duvall pulls one foul. And out of play. So Votto 0 for his first 6 in these first 2 games. And what a time to get his first hit in a scoreless game leading off the 7th. How about that? Nicely done. And nicely done as well by Joey. You know, we've been talking so much, and some might be saying, oh, wait a minute now. You guys were talking earlier about teams coming after Votto inside. That was a breaking ball inside. Or at least it looked to have the spin. And the way that ball appeared to be dropping. Now, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, we'll find out later on. Coming hard into second base is Duvall, and he's in there with a double.
You know, Tom, there's a guy on the coaching staff with the Phillies that we've known for a long, long time. In fact, I played against him back in the 80s. He was there in the 70s. He was a big part of the Philadelphia Phillies during their heyday. In Larry Boa, former manager. And he can be somewhat of a curmudgeon. But I had a long conversation with him before the ball game today. And of all the people he just brought out of nowhere, he said, you know the guy I really like on your ball club is Adam Duvall. I mean, he's got stage presence. He looks like he knows what he's doing. He hits the ball hard. He kills us, meaning the Phillies. Because I just really like that guy. And he doesn't really hand out compliments all that easily.
I tell you, he knows a lot about baseball. I always thought, you and I were talking earlier, I always thought that he would get another chance to manage. You may remember in his younger days as a young man, not far off from his playing days, extremely temperamental. And rubbed some people the wrong way. But I thought as the years have gone by, he's still quite fiery. But that he would get another opportunity because he is such a great, instinctive, knowledgeable baseball man.
Well, he's in the game because he loves it. He doesn't need the money.
No.
Not at this point.
He's a tremendous asset for Pete Mackanin. There's a sinking liner. Caught. That ball stung by Suarez. 1 out in the inning. Let's go back and see if we can tell what that pitch was. I'm curious because I don't want to mislead anybody, Chris, if I misspoke. I just thought that had the spin of a breaking ball.
Yeah, you're right. It was a breaking ball, and I think they were trying to drop it on the outer part of the plate. I just saw the very end of the pitch, assumed it was a fastball because I thought that's the way they would be going after Votto. So that was a good look.
So 1-0 ball game. Let's see if Schebler can add to this 1-run lead here in the last of the 7th. After the home run by Joey, the double by Duvall. You can make an argument the hardest struck ball in this inning was the only out in the inning. Didn't have the most trajectory, but it might have been hit the hardest.
If it did, it would have hit off the batter's eye.
Looked like it went around. He did. Schebler's had 3 or 4 of those in the game tonight. Must not be seeing the ball very well against Eichhoff. All 2 strikes. And he did it again. This time he gets away with it.
I always remember Ken Griffey Jr. telling me that's the reason he used a black bat. So on a check swing, the umpire at third base would have a harder time telling whether he went or not.
2-2. Struck him out swinging on a high fastball for the second out of the inning, and Cozart coming up. 6th strikeout tonight for Eichhoff.
Well, it could have been the previous pitch that gave Cameron Rupp and Eichhoff the idea that he was going to be a little anxious up there. So they went right up the ladder on him and kind of fed into his aggressiveness. Just out of the zone.
Cozart is flying to right and has an infield hit.
He's got good control. I mean, you really have to be impressed. He's 26. I said he went 230 pounds. They actually have him listed at 245. So he looks more like your average linebacker.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I was stunned how big Luke Fickell is.
Ooh.
Big man. He was some kind of player at Ohio State, man. And if you're wondering what we're talking about, Luke Fickell, the new UC head football coach, was kind enough to join us in the pregame show tonight for a while.
That's a great segment.
And a base hit by Cozart. Are they going to wave the runner? You better believe it. Bobbled in right field and no throw. Cozart delivers a 2-out run-scoring single to make it 2-0 Cincinnati.
Cozart's got a couple of hits on the night, both of them on the infield variety, at least on the ground. This one very hard hit opposite field and no play at the plate after that. He just looks so comfortable at the plate right now. He's kind of changed his approach. He came into spring training with the same old setup, and he said, I just never really felt comfortable. So about a couple weeks into spring training, I got to make a change. So he started looking at different video of different players, including Joey Votto. And that has really paid off for him because his confidence at the plate has soared.
Still waiting on the Philadelphia. On Fox Sports Ohio. Then stick around when the game's over for Reds Live, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. We'll break it all down, have interviews from the locker room. I'm sure that Jeff Piccolo will be stopping by to catch up with Joey Votto if the Reds can tie a ribbon around this one. Votto breaking a scoreless tie with a home run to start this 7th inning. Duvall doubles and scores on a 2-out single by Cozart. So that's all for Eichhoff, who pitched a beautiful game here tonight.
Yeah, he did, and he may have just run out of gas here in the 7th inning. It being very early in the year, you don't know how much stamina they have built up. In the meanwhile, they have brought in a left-hander, Joely Rodriguez. Young man that got his first taste of the major leagues last September. Hard-throwing lefty.
He'll turn Tucker Barnhart around to bat from the right side. It's interesting, you take a look, Chris, in that on-deck circle of the Reds. And Kiblahan is standing there, and of course the batter due up next is pitcher Brandon Finnegan. He's retired 19 batters in a row. Is there a chance he's coming out of this game working on a one-hit shutout?
I would say more of a chance of that, because I mean, why else would you send Kiblahan up there unless you thought it was a decoy? I mean, Finnegan has 88 pitches. Looks like he's done. And I mean that in a good way. You know, it's always in baseball, that's one of the great things about baseball, is the second guessing or thinking along with the manager. I would have left him in. No, I would have taken him out. I would have brought this guy in instead. But I mean, if you had told Brian Price at the beginning of the game, if you got 7 innings of shutout baseball from Brandon Finnegan, would that be enough, or would you be happy? And everybody would say yes, of course. So now you turn over to a very capable bullpen, as you said early in the game, as you chronicled how well they did on opening day. This bullpen is in much better shape this year at this time than it was last year at this time.
2-1 on Tucker. Fastball 94 at the knees, strike 2. A nothing game coming into this 7th inning. Votto clubs a breaking ball to the second row in right center field. Duvall follows with a double. 2 outs later, a single by Kozar to drive in a run, knocking Eichhoff out of the game. And now a diving play by Franco. What a play by the Philadelphia third baseman.
Wow.
To end the inning. But the Reds break through. Votto plays long ball. His first hit of the season gives the Reds a lead. They tack on one more. 2-0. We're off to the 8th. The Blue Jackets are fighting for home ice in the playoffs tomorrow night. Will battle Winnipeg at Nationwide Arena in Columbus. Coverage begins at 6:30 with Blue Jackets Live right here on Fox Sports Ohio and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Brandon Finnegan walked the batter, allowed a single in the first inning. He got the final out, stranding 2 in that opening frame. And that started a run of 19 in a row retired. But now he will watch the final 2 innings from the dugout. And the guy trying to at least start the process of nailing this one down for Finnegan is right-hander Michael Lorenzen.
Now remember what Brian Price and Dick Williams, the general manager for that matter, has said about the Reds bullpen, that right now there's no designated closer, that they make room guys to pitch more than 1 inning based on how they look when they come out. So we don't know whether this is a 1-inning job for Lorenzen, who did pitch 1 inning on opening day, or whether he might be in there to close this baby out. I think whatever the matter, if you're the Philadelphia Phillies, you're just glad to see Finnegan go.
He was on top of his game tonight.
1 hit, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts, no runs in his 7 innings. 2-0 the count on Altair. And that's a fair ball. And the throw is in the dirt. He had more time there, did Suarez, to maybe plant that right foot and throw to Votto. They'll give it a base hit.
If you watch Suarez when he fields his ball, he's got to go right over the third base bag. And I think that's what really kind of got his footing off. He may have had a chance to plant right there, but your momentum is going one way. And on a wet ground like that, I'm not so sure that would have been the best way to do it. I think he gave a good effort. It just the ball got away from him and could not be scooped at the other end. That'll be a base hit all the way.
So the leadoff man aboard, and it is scored an infield hit. Phillies had to go 7 innings to get 1 hit, a total of 1 hit off Finnegan. And now Lorenzen jumps in front, strike 1 to Cameron Rupp. 0 for 2 is grounded to short and fly to right. And now another base hit. Nothing that the shortstop Cozart can do there. And Philadelphia, Lady Luck on its side here to begin this inning. A pair of infield hits against Lorenzen.
Now you get the ball on the ground, and if it's right at the shortstop, it's a double play that puts 2 outs on the board. You find that 5.5 hole over there. The shortstop Cozart a little bit closer to second base and double play depth right there. And Lorenzen's been good about getting double play balls. 6th best in the National League last year.
Well, the Reds are wondering, will they ask Galvis to try and bunt? You know, rarely do you hear teams playing on the road, play for the tie. Those kinds of things. You hear about playing for the win. No sign of a bunt on the first pitch, although Suarez a step in on the grass at third, and Votto was on the edge as the pitch was delivered. He backed up.
I think it could be that they like this matchup right here with Galvis. Here's a guy that hit 20 home runs last year.
Yep.
He's swinging for it too.
Well, he had a home run here on opening day. He also had a double. He has struck out swinging and bounced to third in this one. But he just looks like a very confident hitter right now from the left side. Two on, none out. 1-1 pitch. Puts a charge into that one, but hooks it foul. That ball's hit a long way.
Wow.
You know, when Galvis hit the 20 home runs last year, that was more than triple the number he had ever hit in any season. And the Phillies were just stunned. And here he homers on opening day in 2017. 1-2. 98 miles per hour just off the outside corner. And there you see 17 of the 20 from the left side. Naturally far more at bats, but even the batting average, all the numbers on base percentage, slugging percentage, much higher as a left-handed batter. Michael Saunders stands in the on-deck circle. Plenty of pop in his bat. That is the pitcher's spot Rodriguez due up next. Altair and Rupp aboard, second and first with none out. Reds a 2-0 lead and the 2-2 on Galvis. Full foul. Struck him out, just blew him away at 98.
Great location right here for Michael Lorenzen. I mean, the fastball velocity, it's enough, obviously. But you still have to throw it in a good spot.
That had a good tail action on that. Well, here's a guy that can hurt you with one swing of the bat. He had a great first half of the season last year with Toronto, wound up in the All-Star game. His season completely unraveled after the break. He was awful, but he wound up with 24 home runs. 2 on, 1 out. First pitch breaking ball in there, strike.
Now, he's their everyday right fielder, but he's not in there because the left-handed Finnegan was on the mound. That's a great location, too.
Is it ever. 98 in on the thumb.
I mean, so far so good for Lorenzen. I mean, he had a lot of confidence in both of these pitches. He really finished his breaking ball on the first pitch of the at bat and then come right in there and challenge him on the next one. And that's where you've got to keep it on Saunders. Big guy, long arms. Get it right in there again.
Overthrew that one. One ball and 2 strikes.
And that's so easy to do, too. I mean, you're coming in there, you're 0-2, you're thinking, I'm going to just get right in there on his hands, and your body flies open a little bit. And he's actually lucky that he left that ball far outside off the plate rather than down the middle.
Just blew him away, and that's where he wanted it.
Well, that's Lorenzen's new pet pitch that he picked up about halfway through the year last year. It came in a few miles an hour slower than his fastball, but it's a cutter.
And the crowd especially fired up, not only the out, but that's free pizza for everybody in the ballpark. How are you going to argue with that?
Even me?
Even you. All right, one more big out to get here for Lorenzen. We're in the 8th inning, 2 on and 2 out. Breaking ball, that's a strike. That ball was left up in the zone a little bit.
I like that call, though. I mean, that's the second batter in a row that Barnhart has called first pitch breaking ball. Most guys, when you're a 98-mile-an-hour fastball pitcher, most hitters are not looking for a first pitch curveball from you.
That ball hit hard, slicing down the left field line, and a good thing out of play. Came right back with the heat there at 97. All right, Chris Welsh, you play the man on the mound for a minute. You throw in first pitch breaking ball to get strike 1. You come back with a gas for strike 2. You're at 0-2. What are you thinking now?
I'm making a chase right here. I don't even need to give him a strike, but I'm giving him a pitch that may look like a strike coming out of my hand. He really likes that cutter. He's got a breaking ball. I'm just keeping the ball down and probably a little bit out of the zone. Looks like they're going to come inside to him.
All right, you follow the previous batter, a left-handed batter, different kind of batter, but They got ahead 0-2. Went breaking ball, fastball. Got ahead 0-2. Missed with a fastball up and away.
I like the spot that he threw at the Freddie Galvis to get the strikeout, low and away. I mean, when all else fails, that's your safety zone. And it's also a little easier place to pitch to when you're a right-handed pitcher. I mean, to get that ball inside on a left-handed hitter, you really have to have good mechanics. Your alignment has to be good. You have to have really good extension towards home plate. It's a lot easier to get it down and away right here. And as you said, he had a little tail on it.
One ball, 2 strikes on Hernandez, coming in again. And again, he's able to fight it off. So they've come in now with back-to-back fastballs since missing with an 0-2 fastball high and away. Inning started with back-to-back infield hits by Altair and Rupp. Lorenzen has fanned the last 2.
Yeah, they did exactly what Barnhart wanted. Saw Tucker pointing to the plate or to the dirt in front of the plate. Now this is your decision pitch. 2-2 count, 2 outs. You don't want to go 3-2 here. This is where you get a decision in this at bat.
Break even pitch, and it's decision time. How about that? Pulled the string on him on a 2-2. It looked like an off-speed breaking ball. And Lorenzen pitches out of some bad luck after a couple of infield hits. Reds bat in the 8th, leading by 2. Come on down early, see your Reds walk the red carpet during the pregame block party. That starts at 9 a.m. Kids 14 and younger get a kids opening day cap. 381 REDS, or visit Reds.com for details. That's going to be a great day. So come on down to the ballpark. Kids opening day, April the 15th. Normally that's a date you don't like to think about, April 15th, right?
Oh, it's the day after my birthday. Day after Brandon Finnegan's birthday.
But isn't that tax day?
And it's also the day after Pete Rose's birthday. We don't care about the taxes. We're still celebrating.
You're right.
Hopefully.
And now we're going to celebrate kids opening day after your birthday. This is Pat Neshek one of the stars for Team USA.
You're
in
right
the
about
World
that.
Baseball Classic through what, 5 scoreless innings.
And really one of the more interesting pitchers that you will see pitch. Not overpowering at all. But I mean, different tempo to his delivery. Sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's way down under, sometimes it's just about 3/4. Sometimes he'll hesitate at the top of his delivery. Sometimes he gives you no big leg kick at all. He's a little nervous Jervis on the mound, though, isn't he?
Oh, boy.
Moving around.
Been pitching professionally since 2002. How about that? Originally came back in the Minnesota Twins organization. Yeah, you got to mix in a little decaf if you watch him long enough. But for a guy like you, it'd be more like a bit of yoga. Scooter Gennett had the home run in the city where he was born on opening day. Even though his family moved to Sarasota, Florida, right around the 5th grade, he has been a lifelong Reds fan and certainly was growing up. 3-2 pitch, and Scooter didn't like it. That ball looked high. Bill Cuzzy says this was strike 3.
Well, the top of the strike zone is the midway point between the top of the shoulders and the belt. So you be the judge.
Now Billy Hamilton. If you're looking ahead to the Philadelphia 9th inning, it'll be 2, 3, and 4 in their batting order. Howie Kendrick, Odubel Herrera, and Maikel Franco. The Reds have action in their bullpen. We wondered what would they do. You know, would Lorenzen go 2? Would it be Lorenzen for 1 and then this guy for 1? And there's your answer. Raisel Iglesias looks like he's coming into this game. Reds bullpen coach, an outstanding big league pitcher in his own right, Ted Power, watching over him. Line drive into right field, 2 out.
Neshek was a pitcher. I didn't realize this time. I probably had read it before that he was born in Madison, Wisconsin, but he went to Butler University right here. And I call that Reds country over there between here and
sure,
Indianapolis.
Sure.
Certainly.
He grew up in Maryland. Or finished high school anyway in Maryland. The Butler Bulldogs. You know, he first came to the major leagues after waiting almost 6 years in the minor leagues. And I mean, he put his first 2 years in the big leagues. He was just outstanding. But then he got hurt and missed an entire year. Minnesota shipped him off to San Diego, pitched in 25 games there. They let him go, sent him to Oakland, where all of a sudden he found his groove again. And has since been with St. Louis, Houston, and now Philadelphia. A 1-2-3-8. Here we go to the ninth. Iglesias trying to slam the door and give the Reds their first win. A big store-wide, great food, low prices at Kroger. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. We're along the banks of the mighty Ohio Great American Ballpark. Reds are 3 outs away from their first win here in 2017, and the man they're asking to get those final 3 outs, the right-hander Raisel Iglesias.
Yeah, there was a little worry about Raisel Iglesias in spring training when he came up to camp one day and he had a sore elbow. Find out later that he slipped in the bathtub and bruised his elbow. Went 17 days without pitching, but he threw an inning on opening day and just very impressive.
And boy, he just gobbled up right-handed batters last season. You may remember he started opening day for the Reds last year, and then shortly thereafter came up with some arm issues, had to be sent back to the disabled list and work his way back into the big leagues. When he returned, he was a closer after the team traded Aroldis Chapman.
Well, he's got a tough part of the order. When Lorenzen came in, he batted, or he pitched to the 6th batter on down. But here we are, right in the meat of the order with Howie Kendrick.
High one hopper at Suarez. Good way to start it. Right-handed batters last year hit 115 against Raisel Iglesias, and among all relievers who qualified, X number of innings and so forth, batters faced, that was the 2nd best among all relievers in baseball. So he'll go righty, lefty, righty if he can retire the side in order here in the 9th. Brandon Finnegan, simply spectacular. He walked a batter, allowed a single in the 1st inning. He stranded 2, getting Tommy Joseph on a pop-up. He would not allow another base runner through his 7 innings. Retired the last 19 batters he faced in the game tonight. Herrera, a pair of ground outs and struck out. Boy, that's nasty right there. This kid is so talented. Well, Johnny Cueto-esque right there. Slight pause as he threw that left leg into the air.
Well, that's part of it. I mean, the deception that he gives you by changing arm angles, now the rocking step. The other part is 97 on the hands.
Got to cut this one loose. Cozart does, but not going to be in time. That's an infield hit for Herrera. So now the tying run will come to the plate. The Phillies have 4 hits in the game tonight, 3 of them infield hits.
Just a little slap job. In fact, they've only had 4 balls to reach the outfield, the Phillies have.
But now you're facing Franco, who had 25 home runs a season ago for the Phillies. Drove in 88. He's 1 for 3 tonight. A single to center, and that ball was mashed. By far, the hardest hit ball of the night by a Philly, and that was all the way back in the opening inning. I would imagine that's the last fastball that he's going to see in this at bat.
Yeah, at least one that's going to cut the center of the plate.
Yep. Slider low and away.
Yeah, we were talking about Franco on opening day, and his front foot really telegraphs what he wants to do. Now, he does have power to right field, but he never really closes up his stance and squares up to the plate, which means, you know, you lay something out over the center of the plate and he's ready to drop that bat head.
He took a hearty rip at that one.
I mean, really the key to scouting a hitter, I mean, the scouting jobs that they do now are more detailed than ever before. But if you're just seeing him for the first couple of times, you just watch his front foot. And if that front foot doesn't close up, he's looking to yank. I'm talking about right there.
Let's see if they go slider down and away to try and put him away. They tried it, but he didn't bite. Pretty good eye right there by Franco. So now a big pitch here. 3 balls and 2 strikes. You have Joseph, a powerful hitter, waiting in the on-deck circle. Reds 2, Phillies nothing. We are in the top of the 9th. Franco, the tying run at the plate. That is a foul ball. Tucker tried to get out there before it spun back. Pete McCannon, the one-time interim manager of the Reds, replaced Jerry Narron in 2007. Took over a bad team. And he had him play 2 games over 500 the rest of the way. Did not get the job. Struck him out on a slider for the 2nd out.
Well, what a good pitch. I think he wanted it down and away, but because he took enough off that pitch at 84 miles an hour. Maikel Franco was trying to hit that ball into orbit. Pulled him on the speed.
So one more to go. Here's Joseph. 0 for 3. Slider sweeps away from the right-handed batting first baseman. A ball and a strike. Swing and a miss. Runner goes. Throw down to second base. And he's out, and that's the end of the game.
Wow. What are they thinking?
And I'm sure Pete Buchanan's wondering the very same thing in that Philadelphia dugout. That's their problem. That's not the Reds' problem.
Well, a play that ends the end of the game like this is certainly going to be reviewed. I mean, he's got nothing to lose by asking for it. You saw him motion to the headphones.
It looked like Peraza actually blocked Herrera from getting to the bag.
Well, you're allowed to do that if you are in the act of fielding a throw. You can get down and block the bag. Now, you can't block the bag without the baseball, and you have no chance of fielding a throw that's coming your way. But he went right down there figuring that Herrera was going to go head first. Why not?
I don't know about you, Chris. It was very hard to tell from any angle as to whether or not Herrera actually ever got his hand on the bag. If he did, you know, maybe they overturn it. Perhaps they have a better angle than we have on any of those looks.
Well, I can tell you one thing. The umpires want to get this right. Because you don't want to make a bad call on a game-ending play. Because that's the kind of thing that an umpire will carry with him for a while. So, you know, they're going to take a really good look at it back in New York. And this may be one of those exceptions where the review time may go beyond what their targeted view time is, I think, which is 2 minutes. So we may sit here a while until they get a good look and feel like they've got the thing right. But in the meantime, it's kind of surreal and weird here at the ballpark because the Reds are on the field. They're ready to celebrate. I mean, that was the 27th out of the game. So, you know, they want to do some high fives and come off the field and shake hands. And there's some guys milling outside the Reds dugout right now. They don't know what to do. This is kind of weird. Meanwhile, the only guy that's back into baseball is Raisel Iglesias, and he's throwing warm-up pitches.
Yep. So this game is not over. That is one of the amended rules. The replay official has 2 minutes as a guideline to complete the replay review. But as Chris mentioned, the replay director may grant more time if warranted. So, for the time being anyway, Herrera's taken off the hook. And this inning continues now. A 1-2 count on Tommy Joseph. Breaking ball stayed high.
Now, I just saw Jesse Jackson recork the champagne up here.
Well, he would do that regardless. Let's see if Iglesias can get the final strike, the final out. And he does. Reds win. Reds win in game number 2. A brilliant pitching performance by the trio of Brandon Finnegan, Michael Lorenzen, and Raisel Iglesias. A 2-0 shutout final.
Well, the kind of ball game, Tom, that I think both teams think that they probably could have won. Anytime you get a pitching performance like what Brandon Finnegan gave the Reds or Jared Eichhoff gave the Phillies, you're thinking we're going to be right in this thing, and a long ball by Votto was the only thing the Reds needed.
Yep, it was a 0-0 game until Votto led off the 7th inning against Eichhoff. Votto did not have a hit through the first game and 2 at-bats. He changed that with 1 swing. Reds win 2-0. Back with more from Cincinnati in a moment.